What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in on today's video. Today we are doing a little something on the daily, something that I've needed for years and years since I bought that truck, and I didn't realize how simple it was to do this modification. So we are going to jump into it. Stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in. Let's do it. So we are going to be converting the daily from having no cruise control to having cruise control. Now, the first step that we got to do is we got to program the PCM so that it knows that we are going to be adding cruise control. It's super simple. It's a PCM reprogram. So that is going to be our first step. And then we will go over the clock spring and the steering wheel that we have to get and install so that we can actually activate it using the buttons on the steering wheel. Let's jump into it. All right, guys, now we are going to program the PCM so that we can have cruise control. So what we have here is Ford IDS, which is Integrated Diagnostic Software. And this is the program that Ford uses to communicate with these trucks. I believe you can also do this with ForeScan as well. So do keep that in mind. Your dealerships are all going to have Ford IDS, but I would also check with your local diesel repair facility to see if they have Ford IDS. Support local business, man. So module programming is where we want to go. Then we're going to go to programmable parameters, and then you're going to see speed items. I'm going to click on that. The ignition is already on. I'm good to go there. Now, if you guys are going to do this, one important thing to note is you're going to want to return the truck back to stock. So what you see up here, I got the live wire TS. So we've already returned the truck back to stock. That way, because this is going to reprogram the PCM as well. So we want to make sure that this puppy's back to stock before we do that. All right, so like I said, with the truck in the stock file, we now get to here, and you can see it says speed control PCM equals not present. All we're gonna do is switch it from not present to present. We're gonna go down here, click the tick button. It's gonna tell us to switch the ignition off. And check. And now, do not start reprogramming session with a low battery. The fuel pump and engine cooling fans may run. If you are programming a 6.0 liter diesel, the FICM relay must be removed before programming. So like I said, we are reprogramming the PCM. So we're gonna go over here to our fuse box, and you can see this guy right here is our FICM relay. I'll pop him out. Switch ignition on. And here we go. So we're going to let it go through and do this process. If you have an 05, this is going to go really, really fast. Any other year is going to suck. But nonetheless, once we're done reprogramming, our cruise control will work, and we can reflash our truck with our tuner here, and we will be good to go. Okay, so now we're going to move to swapping our steering wheel and our clock spring. These are going to be the two items that you really, really have to just buy and get. We bought this steering wheel off of eBay. It came with the switches and the wiring harness here. So we're going to be swapping this steering wheel over. And then behind the steering wheel, we also have to change our clock spring. So the clock spring is, it's got your airbag, it's got your horns, it got your cruise control buttons. And our original clock spring did not have cruise control or anything like that, so there's only like a couple of wires here. But this new clock spring, which we just got from Dorman, it does have cruise control compatibility. And so this is actually what's going to plug into our factory harness on the truck that is already pre-wired for cruise control. And since we've already turned on present for our speed control, cruise control, all we got to do is swap these two components out on the truck, and we will have a working cruise control on a truck that did not originally come with it. Together, between the steering wheel and the clock spring, you might have $300 total into this. So it's definitely a huge upgrade for you guys that are peasants like me and drive a truck on the daily basis without cruise control. This is a huge upgrade. So let's jump over to the truck and let's start ripping the steering wheel off so that we can get this stuff installed. So before we get started, the first thing we're going to do, because we're going to be dealing with airbags, we want to unhook our batteries. So we've already unhooked our batteries. Next thing, we want to make sure that the steering wheel is relatively straight. The steering shaft is keyed, so everything should go on the same way, but we just want to eliminate any possibilities. So we're going to have the steering wheel straight, batteries unhooked, and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first step is going to be to remove on the back side of this steering wheel. There are these little caps right here, and you're going to remove those on both sides, and then you can see that 8mm bolt, 8mm head bolt in there. We're going to go ahead and remove that on both sides, and that is going to allow us to remove our airbag assembly. So now with the airbag removed, we have two connectors here that we have to unplug, one for our airbag and one for our horn. So we just got a tab. Come on. So we just got a tab right there. And then on this one's a little bit trickier for the airbag. But basically we're going to lift up right there and we'll be able to unplug that. And with that out of the way, now we can actually remove the entire steering wheel. We've got a T50 right here, so we're just going to use an impact and pull this bolt out, and then we actually have to pull the steering wheel off the shaft. It's kind of tapered, and so it can be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you guys the method that I have found that works the best. Now, the best way that I have found that works really well is some form of adjustable pitman arm puller, or this is a specific steering wheel puller. So there's not like holes in here. You know, it looks like somebody, when they remove this, they use these over here. The best method that I have found is there's some flats here and up top here. You find a bolt or something that threads into the steering shaft. And basically all we're going to do is drive this into the steering shaft, and that's going to pull our steering wheel off. Like I said, this is the best method that I have found that works the best. So that is what we're going to do. Now, they can be sometimes a little stubborn. I should mention we also have our key off. Truck is in park. That way the steering wheel can't turn. So you saw my adapter was spinning, so now we have this so that we can hold that adapter while we turn this. So at this point, there's going to be a couple of openings on the bottom side of our shroud here. I believe there's two on this side, one on this side, and there's a Phillips screw that holds our two steering wheel covers on. So we're going to go ahead and remove those. So we just got you're going to want to grab a skinny Phillips and stick it up through that hole. And then you're going to feel for it to catch on that Phillips screw so that you can go ahead and remove it. With our bottom shroud piece off, we're going to take our flat tip screwdriver and we have to pop this guy off. This is just the key cover, which these just take a little bit of prying and they pop off. Got the one side, get this other side. Just like that. As you can see, it's just a plastic constant tension. We just pop that off. And the next thing we got to do is we do have to remove that, but this will allow us to get our shroud piece off at a minimum. So for those of you that don't have tilt steering over yonder, this can be a little bit more tricky. Sometimes you got to pop this dash panel off a little bit to be able to sneak this guy out. But if you have tilt, you can just drop this sucker down and you can pull this right off and over top of your shifter. So let's get it off. All right, so like I said, if you don't have tilt, you got to kind of pop this up and out to be able to get that upper shroud off. If I was thinking ahead, I probably would have just gotten a steering column that has tilt as well as the steering wheel. But nonetheless, you can see we've got our key and ignition switch. That just pops right out. That's part of the clock spring wiring, so we got to remove that. And then if you look right here, this kind of clips into there, so we undo that. There is this, which is just gonna be a Christmas tree clip. We're gonna pop that out, and then it comes down here, and we've got this harness, which is supposed to be clipped up right here, and then we have that harness right there. So we'll undo both of those, and then to pop the clock spring actually off, again, it's just like plastic tabs, so we just kind of pry behind it and go ahead and pop it off. Okay, so for reinstall, we're looking at our old clock spring here. You can see there's a tab there, and there is a tab up here, which I actually broke on the factory one here. But those are the two tabs that hold it onto the steering column. And then you can see these pins. There's one there, and then you can see the one on this side, which broke as well when it came off. But you're going to line those two pins up at the top and the bottom, and that's also where the tabs are. And you're going to rotate this black piece. Now mine had this lock ring in here like this. So you leave that in there, get it lined up, push it in, make sure your two tabs click on bottom and top, and then you can go ahead and pull this white tab out. And now this can only go on one way because it is, as you can see, it's keyed to the steering shaft there. And then we just simply ran our wires just like before. So this guy goes up into there. And then down along, came with a new Christmas tree clip, so we got that on there. And then we plugged them in down there, and we are good to go. Quick tip on the key and ignition here. They put this little black tab piece. You're going to want to pull this off of that. That is the only way it fits down in there. This is just to protect that contact that's in there. So you're going to want to pull this off and then go ahead and install that. So other than that, we are good to go. We can now start our reassemble for our shrouds and get our new steering wheel put on. Okay, so like I said, the steering wheel is indexed. We've installed that, and then we used our factory harness to plug into our new clock spring. We've got our steering wheel bolt here, which we cleaned off the factory Loctite that they use, and then we've got some blue Loctite on there. So we're going to go ahead and thread this guy in. Now, the factory torque spec for this is 29 foot-pounds. So that's what we're going to torque it to. We've got our nice snap-on torque wrench. Set to 29 foot-pounds. Let's see if we can do this with one hand. I feel like I'm barely in that bolt. Oh, there it is. 29.1. So that is torqued. I pulled our steering wheel on a little bit further, and we are good to go. We can reinstall our airbag, hook up our batteries, and we should have working cruise control in the daily. So let's go do that, and then we will test it out. So there you have it, guys. That's how simple it is to add cruise control to your non-cruise control 6-liter. I believe this works from 99 all the way up to 2007 in the same fashion or method. And I think after that, pretty much cruise control was standard on all vehicles. So, but yeah, huge nice thing to have if you don't have cruise control. Thank you guys for tuning in on today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little tip and trick and a nice little upgrade. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.